Good evening. I think we'll go ahead and begin. I'd like to welcome everybody to the 2013 Candidate Forums hosted by the Gardner Area Chamber of Commerce. My name is Steve DeBoer, and I have the privilege and honor of serving as president for the Chamber. And we greatly appreciate not only all of you being here this evening, but obviously all of the candidates for their willingness to serve in public office in Gardner. As most of you are aware, the Gardner Area Chamber of Commerce is a 501c6 organization, independent of any formal relationship with either the City of Gardner or USD 231 School District. Although we enjoy a very positive and productive partnership with both the City and the School District, and look forward to continuing this partnership in the future, we are prohibited by the IRS from endorsing or supporting individual candidates in any election, and thus strongly remain a neutral and unbiased third party to host these candidate forums. I would like to thank USD 231 for allowing us to use this event this evening to host our candidate forum. Each of you attending and all of the candidates, and we wish each of you the very best on April 2nd. Tonight's format will be the following. First will be the candidates for the position of mayor, followed by candidates for the position of city council. Each candidate will be given 60 seconds to respond following the completion of each question, and I will read each question twice. Questions will be randomly drawn from both prepared questions submitted to our office and those submitted this evening. Each candidate will be allowed a 3-minute opening statement, followed by questions, and then each group will be given 25 minutes to complete all of the questions. To allow for more individual and original responses from each candidate, without the concern of restating a similar response for the third, fourth, or fifth time, in the case of the City Council candidates, we have divided the City Council candidates into 2 groups. Each candidate has drawn a number, and each group will be designated by their chosen even or odd number. During the mayor candidate questions, all City Council candidates will remain in a separate room, unable to hear the questions and answers provided. Upon completion of the mayor candidate questions, the first group of City Council candidates will be invited on stage, provide their 3-minute introduction, and continue with questions. Upon completion, they will return to the waiting room while the final group makes their presentations on stage. At this time, I would like to invite you to join me in welcoming onto our stage the 2 candidates for mayor, Mr. Chris Murrow and Mr. Dave Gardner. Earlier this evening, we had a coin toss or a draw for even and odd numbers, and Dave Gardner won that coin toss. He did elect to receive, and he'll be defending this end of the end zone. But with that, I would like to, both candidates will be coming to the mic for their 3-minute introduction, and then they will be seated, and then we'll be passing the mic back and forth for questions to save on time. So with that, I'd like to invite Mr. Dave Gardner to the microphone.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Gardner Chamber, for hosting this, and thank you all for coming out tonight to listen to the candidates and get to know the candidates for your city government. My wife, Margaret, and I, we moved here in 1987. We raised 4 children in the same house in that time, and we're still there. We're active members in this community and in our church, Sacred Heart. I bring to the table more than 25 years of leadership experience in the private sector. I have management experience in operations, administration, and I'm currently the Director of Quality Management and Compliance for Physicians Reference Laboratory. I've served the community since 1994 on the Planning Commission, City Council, and most recently as your mayor. My goal during that time has been and will always be to maintain the quality of life that my family has enjoyed in this community, and I'm sure all of you have enjoyed, especially those that were brought here by that quality of life. My record shows that commitment, and as I help navigate our community through the highest growth of any Johnson County community, more than 300% since being elected to the City Council in 1995. I bring fiscal responsibility, leading our community through the toughest downturn since the last recession of the late 70s. I've made tough decisions, I've made tough recommendations and supported tough decisions. But we've been able to maintain our good standing throughout that time and maintain our Moody's investment grade rating. Such that, most recently, we were able to restructure debt for an interest rate of 0.63%. You, the citizens, should set our priorities and not personal agendas. We listened, and we've made changes and taken action through the use of our citizen survey. The next three priorities that you've identified are traffic flow, the cost of utilities, and codes enforcement. These are very challenging, and they will require leadership that's not afraid to have difficult conversations and make tough choices. I have the skills, the experience, and the knowledge to continue serving this community as your mayor, and I ask for your vote on April 2nd. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Next, Chris Murray.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Morrow. I am running for Mayor of Gardner. I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce and Gardner Edgerton High School for sponsoring and hosting this event, and I'd like to thank all of you for your attendance and your interest. My wife and I love living in Gardner. We have 4 of our 6 children living with us, and all of them are attending USD 231 schools. I've served Gardner as a city council member since I was elected in 2011. I'm a member of the Gardner Rotary Club, the American Legion Post number 19, and I've happily volunteered my time and efforts for many events during my time in Gardner. In 1985, I was honorably discharged from the U.S. Navy, and over the last 25 plus years, I've been putting people to work in the employment industry. During that time, I've developed 2 things that you must have if you want to survive in the ultra-competitive people business, and that is a thick skin and a diplomatic temperament. My focus as mayor will be multifaceted, with top priorities that include encouraging our citizens to become engaged and involved with leaders and have their voices heard inside City Hall. I also want our citizens to be better informed than any other city in Johnson County. I will work to stimulate smart, responsible growth that will benefit all of Gardner's citizens and stakeholders. I've been involved, as I mentioned, in recruiting, and a large part of that has been business development as well for more than 25 years. And I'll put those skills to good use, building relationships and recruiting the right kind of businesses for Gardner. Gardner Energy and the Electric Utility Board have been a great success story for Gardner, and they've run our electric utility like a business. In fact, they have held our electric rate steady since 2009. I will see that we run all of our city utilities like business units. We must maintain our water system, but we also must contain the cost of that service to our residents. I will work to balance the budget every year with the goal of not increasing taxes. In 2010, the City Council raised property taxes on Gardner residents over 26%. This has cost average Gardner households over $125 per year, and local businesses much more than that. I can show that this tax increase was not required at all. In fact, even without the tax increase, the city's budget would have been $576,000 richer in 2011. The governing body must work together with city staff every year to build as accurate a budget as possible, endeavoring to save Gardner taxpayers money year after year. I promise the citizens of Gardner that if I'm elected mayor, I will bring accessible, inclusive, responsible, and diplomatic leadership to the office of mayor. Please cast your vote for me on April 2nd for Gardner mayor. Thank you.
All right. I get, 90 seconds for each candidate to respond. We'll have a mic. You can stay seated. And since Mr. DeVetta went first, Mr. Murray, you'll have your first question. All right, since we're in a school, we'll start with an education question. If two trains leave the station at the same time, heading in opposite directions, I'll say that for later. Okay. Question number 1. In your own words, please describe the role or function you feel the mayor performs, and most importantly, how it impacts our community. In your own words, please describe the role or function you feel the mayor performs, and most importantly, how it impacts our community.
Well, I believe that the primary responsibility of the mayor is to provide leadership to the governing body, and as a byproduct of that, direction to city staff. I believe that the mayor is in charge of running city council meetings in a crisp and professional manner, and helping guide the city in policy development along with the members of the governing body. I think the job of mayor is primarily one that gets the staff, the governing body, the people in the business communities, our citizens, to all work collaboratively together. I think that the mayor it's incumbent upon the mayor to be able to compromise when necessary without betraying any of their principles. And I think that it's the job of the mayor to build consensus and move the city forward smartly.
I mean, there are the day-to-day duties of the mayor, as Chris pointed out. Run the meetings, ensure that the wishes of the council are implemented in accordance with the votes that were taken at meetings regarding various items. The mayor, I think most importantly, represents our community both internally and externally. We must spend our time showing our community that it is a wonderful place to live and the good things that are going on. We also need to demonstrate that to the outside world, because we need people to invest in our community. We need people to bring their businesses to our community. And part of that is going out and representing our community to Johnson County, to the metro area, and to areas beyond.
Thank you. Next question. Over the past few years, Gardner has struggled to maintain a positive image and a strong public perception. Unfortunately, we simply cannot change the past, but we can change our future. What have you learned from the past, and how can we improve our image and public perception in the future? One more time. Over the past few years, Gardner has struggled to maintain a positive image and a strong public perception. Unfortunately, we simply cannot change the past, but we can change our future. What have you learned from the past, and how can we improve our image and public perception in the future?
We have had challenges in the last 6 years. There was a fairly controversial development that occurred, and it is being built on our doorstep. The decisions made by past councils have created a less than positive image in the minds of the business community, both internally and externally, and that's a challenge to overcome. We have worked hard to change that perception. One of the things we've done is hire a new city administrator, and one of the first tasks I asked her to perform was get together with our business community and find out what it is we need to do as a city to help them succeed and to help our city grow. That task was completed. We have a list of priorities from them, and we're now moving that task to our citizens and asking them. It is a slow process, but a process that needs to occur.
And I'm going to ask you to please repeat the question.
Certainly. Over the past few years, Gardner has struggled to maintain a positive image and a strong public perception. Unfortunately, we simply cannot change the past, but we can change our future. What have you learned from the past, and how can we improve our image and public perception in the future?
Well, I think that what I've learned from the past is that when decisive action needs to be taken, then it needs to be taken and followed up on to its conclusion. The mayor referenced our difficulties with the intermodal project, which the city de-annexed. But the city had already agreed to be involved with the intermodal project. What they didn't do was sign the intermodal agreements. The intermodal agreements apparently sat in a drawer for a reason of which I am still not clear. So I think that when action is taken, like a vote for to move forward on a committee's findings, then we need to move forward quickly and smartly on those. We need to be professional in our approach in our city council meetings as well. This is something that has improved since we began videotaping meetings, which was a short while ago, and something that I talked about in my last city council days. And we need to do a better job of not just visioning, but marketing and promoting ourselves throughout the metro area.
Very good. Next question. How should Gardner deal with increased traffic congestion, most notably at 56 Highway and Center Street? How should Gardner deal with increased traffic congestion, most notably at 56 Highway and Center Street?
Well, this is something that's already currently being handled. We've got agreements in place, design elements in place, construction start dates in place to widen the intersection, provide turning lanes, and to make it safer for Gardner residents. So the things that we need to do are things that we are already doing.
That particular intersection was identified as the second most critical by our citizen survey, the first being Moonlight Road. That project, I have to commend staff for working very hard to form a good partnership with KDOT to get the work done and minimize the economic impact on our city. It baffled me that the two council members voted against that project when it was such a low-cost comparative project in an area that was identified by our citizens as being critical. There are other areas that our citizens have identified as areas that need improvement. The intersection of 183rd and Center Street, for example. The intersection of Madison and Center Street is another example. We have arterials that need to be improved, and these are challenges because that work is very expensive. They are on a list for capital improvements, but they are currently unfunded. We have been able to build our reserves, and we may be able to start whittling down those projects. That's my hope and my goal, and with your input, we will continue to prioritize it.
Very good, thank you. All right, next question. What are the plans, if any, for, and the question states, no blow zones for the railroad? I assume that means quiet crossing. So what are the plans, if any, for quiet crossings at the Poplar Railroad intersection? This individual also made note to congratulate everybody on the fantastic snow removal job that just occurred. So congratulations to the city for that. Okay, what are the plans, if any, for quiet crossings zone at the Poplar Railroad intersection?
The quiet zones are essentially an engineering change that can be implemented by a community with the permission of the railroad in order to create a crossing that does not require engine horn use. There are devices that make noise and lights at the crossing, but not the overhead horns. We've done that at Moonlight Road. That was part of that project. That was built into the cost of that project. We have identified other crossings, Poplar being one, and Grand Street again. They are currently unfunded. There is an estimate, and it is only an estimate. It has not been reviewed by an engineering firm yet, that somewhere in the neighborhood of $35,000 to $40,000, we can put a quiet crossing at Poplar, which personally for that cost, I would highly recommend it if the council is so willing in our next budget cycle.
I'll echo some of what the mayor has said, in so much as there is some study that's already been done about what the quiet zones would cost. When discussed in council chambers, it was made to sound as if the cost of this might be excessive. If the $35,000 figure that the mayor is quoting is accurate, it certainly doesn't sound like it's too excessive. I can tell you that the people that live near that intersection are people, in many cases, that have lived there for a long time. And the intermodal and the railroad and the additional traffic and train noise that has come along with it is something that interrupts what I would call their quiet enjoyment of their residence. And the ongoing noise that the whistles creates a nuisance. Now, I know that city staff has been in conversation with federal railway authorities, as well as BNSF, and I'm not going to stop looking into this until the people of that area get some relief.
Okay, next question. In order to establish not only a balanced budget, but build a surplus to provide for future growth, what specific initiatives do you recommend be explored to identify if expenses need to be reduced or revenues need to be enhanced, and how would you accomplish this? In order to establish not only a balanced budget, but build a surplus to provide for future growth, what specific initiatives do you recommend be explored to identify if expenses need to be reduced or revenues need to be enhanced, and how would you accomplish this?
I would begin by saying that the surpluses that we have currently are sufficient. Not only sufficient, they are at such a level that if we don't begin to undertake some of the projects that we need to accomplish so that they don't cost us more money down the road, now is the time to start looking at and acting upon those projects given the surplus that we currently have. As far as reducing expenses, I think that we have an outstanding city staff, and they do stellar work. And if there's one thing that I've learned in my 2 years on the council, it's that they will rise to the occasion and the challenge that you put before them. So if expenses need to be curbed to a greater degree, I think that you challenge them during the budget process and early enough that they can make changes that are necessary. As far as revenues, just last year, I challenged Mike Press and Finance Director Laura Gorley about some of our budget woes in the future, and they went back to the county and got fresh sales tax estimates that changed the complexion of our budget for this year and then going forward.
One thing that we've always done, and what past councils taught me, I see Councilman Page here in the audience, is that we should budget conservatively as we do our own household, to not count on funds that we think may happen, but rather only those funds that we're fairly confident will occur. And this is the way we've always done it. When the downturn began, significantly in 2008, we had already started reducing expenses in Gardner and continued to do so throughout. We did spend down some of the surpluses in that time, some of our money that we had put aside, and that's important. It's also important to maintain those. That's how we are able to obtain a investment grade rating from Moody's and able to borrow money at a very, very attractive rate. Our balances are close to where Moody likes them. We need to get to that point, but we need to identify the projects that should be worked and put those on the priority list and work them through using those surplus funds wisely, but also watching the future and making sure that we're not counting on revenues that may or may not happen.
Thank you. Next question. Other cities in our area are utilizing various incentives to attract new development opportunities into their communities. What creative and strategic approach would you recommend Gardner implement to position us to be highly competitive in attracting these new development opportunities? Again, other cities in our area are utilizing various incentives to attract new development opportunities into their communities. What creative and strategic approach would you recommend Gardner implement to position us to be highly competitive in attracting these new development opportunities?
There are incentives that are controlled by statute that we're permitted to use and not permitted to use. We have to use them in certain ways. Those are typically what you know of as abatements. There are TIF opportunities that was used to remove the sewer lagoons from the east side of Conestoga. which I'm pleased to understand that we will likely retire that TIF ahead of time. And those monies will now come back into to city funds. There are things that we charge, fees, that we have access to, we have control over. And those are the things that we should use to entice the type of development that we want. For example, one thing that citizens have asked of us is move up homes. We have a great place to start, but many families feel they have to leave Gardner in order to move up into a larger home. Maybe, and I'm not advocating, but maybe those types of developments are something that we would consider waiving or reducing park impact fees in order to get that type of home in the community so we can keep people here rather than have them move on and improve our tax base. Again, bringing businesses into the community is key to driving the cost down, because we need to spread our base over a more diversified stock.
Well, I would say that in regards to incentives, on January 14th of this year, we had a visioning session in the City Council chambers. We had two development people from Lathrop and Gage, Mary Birch and Pete Heaven. We had Bob Marcus from the KCADC, and we had Chairman of the Johnson County Commission, Ed Eiler, on the meeting. And if there's one thing that was easy to take away from virtually all of the speakers, it's that be careful about providing incentives. In many cases, they are not required at all. What people are looking for is business partners in their municipalities that are willing and able to make the process simple for them, that are going to shepherd them through and help them get things done in a very timely fashion so that they can get done under budget. I think that with our new community development director and our new city administrator, we can make this happen at low or no cost to our taxpayers, and this should make Gardner much more attractive for future growth.
Very good. All right, last and final question. The mayor plays two important roles in our community. One is internally within the walls of City Hall, and the other is externally to the rest of the world. When representing our community to visitors, developers, and other agencies, what do you feel are the most important aspects to include in your description of our city? The mayor plays two important roles in our community. One is internally within the walls of City Hall, and the other is externally to the rest of the world. When representing our community to visitors, developers, and other agencies, what do you feel are the most important aspects to include in your description of our city?
Well, I think that one of the first things wouldn't involve City Hall at all. It would involve our outstanding school system and the fact that not only are we preparing people for a college education, but we're also preparing people for the workforce. So people that are looking to relocate to Gardner know that they've got a skilled and trainable workforce at their disposal. Additionally, Gardner is a great place to live. You can't talk to anybody that won't tell you that fact. And not only do people go off to college, join the military, do things like that, but they're coming home to Gardner now. And we have an opportunity to present that to prospective developers that are going to employ people as another asset. Additionally, we are moving forward with a vision, and we are going to make the city of Gardner much easier to get quality, smart projects done, and I think this will be attractive to developers as well.
When I speak to those folks outside the community that want to come here, that's what I lead with. Our schools. We have and are blessed with extraordinarily wonderful schools, great staff, award-winning schools, and we are competing with Blue Valley head-to-head with the economics far behind what they have. That is our number one strength. And our second strength, and I think this helps our schools, is our sense of community. I used to call it the small town atmosphere, and we're not a small town anymore. But we still have that sense of community, in spite of the disagreements that we've had. We talked about earlier. The citizens of this community pull together when necessary, and it is an absolute wonderful thing. An example, the county stopped the Christmas for Kids. My wife and I, Margaret, we decided that was not going to happen. We took it over, and this community just comes together, and regardless of the position, and that really is our strength. And that's what I tell people, that we have truly the best place to live, work, and raise a family in Johnson.